Okay. Please drop a message in your groups so that students can join fast this class. So I have shared the whole screen or the PPT only.
Only PPT.
Only PPT is not okay. This is sufficient. I have also opened the Microsoft Whiteboard. I think there is no need. Okay, so in the previous class, I have covered the topic that is the elements of the visual perception. Now today, I am going to start. Please mute. Today I am going to start the image formation in the eye. So this is the basic diagram, or we can say this figure shows a graphical representation of the eye looking at a palm tree. A point C in this figure is the optical center of the lens. So here in this diagram, you can see there is a tree having a height of 15 meter, and there is a graphical representation. This diagram shows the graphical representation in which this part shows human eye, and a human is at a distance of 100 meter. Okay, or we can say the distance between a tree and an eye is about 100 meter, and the distance from the center to this retina part of human eye is 17 millimeter. Okay, so this is just give the information how an image is formed within the eye. So this image is formed inverted, which you can see in this diagram. So image formation in the eye. Let's see the principal difference between the lens of the eye and an ordinary optical lens is that the former is flexible. Means ordinary optical lenses are not flexible, but human eye, or we can say this for the case of human eye, this eye is flexible. You can close, you can contract, you can expand. Okay, so this the lens of this is flexible. Now the shape of the lens is controlled by tension in the fibers of the ciliary body. Now to focus on distant objects, the controlling muscles causes the lens to be relatively flattened. Similarly, these muscles allow the lens to thicken in order to focus on objects near the eye. Now, the distance which I have explained you, the distance between the center of the lens and the retina called the focal length. Okay. And it varies from approximately not fixed 17 mm to about 14 mm. Okay, as the refractive power of the lens increases from its minimum to maximum. Now, in an ordinary photographic cameras, again, you can find the lens has a fixed focal length. Okay. Focusing at various distances is achieved by varying the distance between the lens and the imaging plane where you want to map your film. Okay. But in case of human eye, or we can say in the human eye, the converse is true. The distance between the center of the lens and the imaging sensor. What is the imaging sensor in the human eye? What is the imaging sensor in the human eye? Astha Goyal. No. Anybody in the class?
Sir, cones and rods.
Yes. What is the imaging sensor? Yeah, which thing is known
Sir,
as
cones
imaging?
and rods.
So where cones and rods are situated, or which part contain these two?
Retina, sir.
Okay,
Retina, sir.
Okay, retina. Okay, retina. So just imagine in the human eye, you can see the distance between the center of the lens and there is one thing that is the imaging sensor, or we can say the imaging sensor in another words, the retina, and it is fixed. Okay, so in the focal length needed to achieve the proper focus is obtained by varying the shape of the lens. So you can change, you can vary the shape of the lens here. So now look here. When when the eye focuses on an object which are away, or we can say objects farther away, then the lens exhibits its lowest refractive power. Whereas when the eye focuses on a nearby objects, the lens most strongly refracts. Now this is the example which I have shown earlier. So the illustration of this figure is I have covered. Now you can see here, or you can say if h is the height in millimeter of the object in the retinal image, and the geometry of the figure L is this relation. So why this relation is achieved here? So for this, listen very carefully. Suppose a person is looking at a tree. Suppose a person at a distance of 100 meter. Just try to understand how this relation is calculated. Okay, suppose that a person is looking at a tree, or the height of the tree is 15 meter and it is situated at a distance of 100 meter. Then suppose this here h denotes the height of the object. You can take this height of the object, but you take this height of object in the retinal image, or we can say you can see from this figure. So this yields a relation. You can see this 15 by 100. This is the 15 divided by 100 here. Okay, this height divided by this distance. So this is the height of the tree, and this is the distance of the tree from human. So right here, height divided by distance. It is equals to, this is the height of the tree which is found on the retina or within the human eye. So in the numerator, write this height, and what is the distance of this tree which has been formed on the retina. So just take the distance from the center of this lens to the retina. So it is approximately given 14 millimeter to 17 millimeter, but in this figure it is given 17 mm. So just write here this h by 17. So you can calculate this height. It is equals to 2.55 mm. So you can calculate the height of the formed image within the human eye. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is a just simple relation. Write in the numerator the height of the object, the distance of the object from human, or just take this the distance from this point only. Okay, what is the name of this point? Who will
Center of lens.
center of lens? So take the distance only from the center of the lens. Okay, inside the human eye, it will give the distance of from center to the retina, and outside the bulb, outside the human eye, or we can say in the outside bulb, you will see the distance of the object from the center of the lens. So you can find the height of the formed image within the eye. Is that clear? Now these are some other examples. I am skipping it. Now image formation using lens. This is the physics which I know. I think you all know about this. A camera uses a lens to focus part of the scene on the image sensor, and two of the most important parameters of a lens are its magnifying power and the light gathering capacity. So this is the axis here. Now this is the object or human being. This is the lens. Okay, now this lens is forming an image which is inverted at a distance of this V, and this is the distance U. This is the focal length F. Now magnification factor, here you can see magnifying power can be specified by a magnification factor small m, which is the ratio between the image size and the object size. So what is the image size and object size? You can see here, this is the image size, and this is the object size. Now see, this is m equal to u by v, where u is the distance from an object to the lens, which I have covered in this part also. But I want to I want to explain it in terms of lens. Is that clear? समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? हेलो.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
मैं थोड़ा फास्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? यदि किसी स्टूडेंट को प्रॉब्लम होगी तो आप बता सकते हो. मैं स्लो मतलब मैं स्पीड कम कर सकता हूँ, है ना? So where you can see this is a magnification factor is the ratio of this u by v to v by u, and where u is the distance from an object to the lens. Okay, so in the denominator you take the distance from an object to the lens, and in the v, this is the distance from the lens to the object of the image plane. Now the magnifying power of a lens is usually expressed in terms of its focal length, f, in millimeters only. So remember, what is the unit of focal length? It is in millimeter. So what is millimeter? It is 10 to the power. Meter means in terms of centimeter or in terms of millimeter. So what will be the amount in terms of meter? 1 millimeter, it is equals to x meter. So what will be the value of x here? Yes, any student? कोई बताएगा? आपको मालूम है या नहीं? हेलो.
Yes, sir.
अभिषेक.
Yes, sir.
आप ये बताएं कि 1 मीटर में कितने मिलीमीटर होते हैं?
1000. एक मीटर में से 1000 मिलीमीटर.
ओके, इस चीज को आप देख लेना है ना, कवर कर लेना है, ये आना चाहिए आपको, है ना, बिकॉज देयर में बी रिक्वायरमेंट इन द कन्वर्शन ऑफ द यूनिट्स, है ना, when a numerical is given to you. The distance from the lens to the point at which parallel incident rays converge, given by the lens equation, and is given by this 1 by f is equal to 1 by u plus 1 by v. So by comparing above two expressions, you can write this f is equal to u into m in the numerator divided by m plus 1. So it provides a practical and convenient way to determine the focal length of a certain magnification factor, an object distance, and select the appropriate lens for the objects. इसके बेसिस पर आप सेलेक्ट कर सकते हैं लेंस को. ओके, सो अप टू हियर किसी को कोई डाउट है तो पूछ सकते हैं. Now next is brightness and adaptation. Brightness, adaptation, and discrimination. So this figure gives the information. I am increasing the size. Okay, this figure gives the information. See, range of subjective brightness sensation showing a particular adaptation level. Now here, this is the log of intensity in this ml, and this is the subjective brightness. Okay, and this is the limit, their limit. This is the scotopic threshold level. So you can see here with the log of intensity, as you move or you take this -6 to 0 or 2 to 4, you can see the level of brightness here. So because detailed images are displayed as a set of discrete intensities, okay, remember this point, we always use set of discrete intensities to display image. So the eye's ability to discriminate between the different intensity levels is an important consideration. आपकी आईज, ह्यूमन आईज जो है वो उसको किस तरीके से डिस्क्रिमिनेट कर पाएगी, ये रेड कलर है या ग्रीन कलर है या ब्लू कलर है और अदर टाइप्स ऑफ कलर. आप ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैं तो आप समझ सकते हैं इस चीज को. कोई डाउट? ओके, so see, you can see the range of light intensity levels to which the human visual systems can adopt. It is very large. Okay, the range, it is very large, and it is in the range of 10 to the power 10. Okay, 10 to the power 10, and it started from the scotopic threshold to the glare limit. Okay, here you can see. Okay, so this is the subject brightness, and the range of this brightness, or we can say the range of light intensity levels. मैं इस पर स्ट्रेस दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि हम इन टर्म्स ऑफ जब इमेज की बात करेंगे तो हम बात करते हैं, क्योंकि मैं पहले आपको ये चीज बता चुका हूँ, है ना, ये क्लियर कर चुका हूँ कि जो आपकी इमेज रहती है वो किस टाइप की इंफॉर्मेशन रिफ्लेक्ट करती है, हमको बताती है. सो हियर आई एम टेकिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ दैट. सो द रेंज ऑफ इंटेंसिटी लेवल्स to which the human visual system can adopt, it is very large. Okay, it started from this scotopic threshold level to the glare limits, and it is in the range of, or we can say it is on the order of 10 to the power 10. So just see what is the value calculated 10 to the power 10. क्या होगा 10 to the power 10? बहुत बड़ी अमाउंट होगी, इसलिए रेंज ये है, ये बहुत ज्यादा है. सो दिस रेंज हैज बीन डिफाइंड फॉर द ह्यूमन आई. ओके, it has been defined for the human eye, and it indicates that the subjective brightness here, it is shown on the vertical line. The subjective brightness is a logarithmic function of the light intensity incident on the eye. Okay, see this function, this subjective brightness, which is ranged from minimum to maximum, and it is on the order of 10 to the power 10. It is a function of logarithmic of, or we can say simple log of intensity level. Okay, log of light intensity incident on the eye. ओके आपकी आईज के ऊपर जो लाइट फॉल हो रही है, ओके उसकी इंटेंसिटी का लॉग लेंगे, उसके रिस्पेक्ट में आपकी ये ब्राइटनेस का, ये सब्जेक्टिव ब्राइटनेस का यहाँ पर आपको शो हो रहा है. So this diagram again showing range of subjective brightness sensation, showing a particular adaptation level. Okay. So just this you can read from a book. Okay. I am moving. इसमें कुछ पूछना है क्या आपको?
सर BFBB क्या है?
अच्छा, इसको एक्चुअली मैं इसको इसलिए कर रहा था कि ये कवर करने में क्या अभी सॉल्व होने वाला है अपने पास में, है ना. 30 मिनट से तो ज़रा फास्ट करने के फास्ट एक्चुअली माइंड सेट किया था मैंने. इसको मैं कवर करता हूँ. ठीक है. Now some terminology also see here. Okay. Now here this figure 2.4. This is a plot of light intensity. Okay, versus subject brightness. Okay, अब मैं इसको कवर कर लेता हूँ अच्छे से ही. This figure, this 2.4 shows a plot of light intensity versus subject brightness, and it is the illustration, or we can say it illustrates the characteristics. Okay, it illustrates the characteristics. So the long solid curve represents the range of intensities to which the visual system can adopt this long curve. I think you are able to understand it. This line has started from this isotopic threshold level, and it ends at glare limit. Okay. So this long solid curve represents the range of intensities to which the visual system can adopt. आपके पास जो visual system है, that system can adopt any value in this range. Okay, so this is the complete range. This diagram, this curve shows the complete range. Okay, and in photopic vision alone, in photopic vision here, this is the photopic vision. The range is about 10 to the power 6. The range is approximately 10 to the power 6. Okay. So the transition from isotopic, sorry, this is the isotopic. So the transition from the isotopic, this line is the isotopic, to the photopic vision. Okay, this one. यदि आप इस विजन से, और विजन की बात करें तो इस इंटेंसिटी लेवल से आप इस इंटेंसिटी लेवल में मूव करते हैं फोटोपिक्स में. सो यू सी द ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम isotopic to the photopic vision is gradual over the approximate range from 0.001 to 0.1 million bird. Okay, or -3 to -1 ml here, -3, it may be here -3 to -1 here. Okay, see in this diagram, -3 to -1. Okay, is that clear?
सर फोटोपिक स्कोटोपिक है क्या?
Yes. हेलो
सर फोटोटॉपिक और स्कोटोपिक है क्या?
अच्छा, ये चीज भी क्लियर कर लेंगे। इसके पहली वाली क्लास में मैंने कवर नहीं किया था ये।
नो सर।
Actually, these indicates the related to the vision having some range. So, अभी शायद मैंने आपको इसके पहले वाली जो क्लास है उसमें बताया था कि यदि आपके पास में कोई ऑब्जेक्ट्स है और यदि आप उसको डे लाइट में उसको देखते हैं तो और उसी ऑब्जेक्ट को जब आप मून लाइट में देखते हैं तो उस टाइप के फेनोमेना को हम कुछ इसको टॉपिक कहते हैं। मैंने आपको बताया था कि सपोज फॉर एन एग्जांपल ऑब्जेक्ट्स which you see in the daylight are brighter, okay, and if you want to see the same objects in the moonlight, so or we can say in the they appear less bright. और सिंपल यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स आप डे लाइट में देखते हैं तो वो आपको कलरफुल दिखाई देती है। अब आप इसको क्लियर समझें कि जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स आप दिन में देखते हैं, इफ यू आर वाचिंग सम ऑब्जेक्ट्स which are colored, so you will see that these are colorful in the daylight, but these appears as colorless in the moonlight, okay, because only the rods are stimulated in that action. So this type of phenomena we call it as scotopic or dim light vision. So scotopic or photopic, these are the terms related to the vision. These are the terminologies which are related to the vision. Okay, so again this first one, scotopic, it is a type of vision, and in this scotopic vision, just see for an example, objects which appears brightly colored in the daylight, these appears as colorless in the moonlight. The reason behind this, because only the rods are stimulated, and this type of phenomena is known as scotopic or dim light vision. This is the definition or explanation for the scotopic. Is that clear?
यस सर।
आप कोई ऑब्जेक्ट है दिन में यदि आप उसको देखते हैं आपको वो बढ़िया दिखाई देती है यदि वो कलर्ड है। जैसे मान लीजिए आप फ्लावर्स से किसी गार्डन में आप देखते हैं, ठीक है, बट उसी को जब आप मूनलाइट में देखेंगे तो कैसा दिखाई देगा? हेलो,
व्हाइट एंड ब्लैक,
मतलब थोड़ा ग्रे टाइप का हो जाएगा ना। जैसे मान लीजिए डे टाइम में आप किसी गार्डन में घूमने के लिए गए हुए हैं और वहां से आप एक इमेज को कैप्चर करते हैं और उस इमेज को जब आप देखते हैं तो वो कलर्ड इमेज दिखाई देती है। उसमें रेड फ्लावर अलग दिखाई देता है, येलो कलर का फ्लावर अलग दिखाई देता है, कोई और ऑब्जेक्ट है तो वो क्लियर दिखाई देती है। लेकिन यदि आप मान लीजिए मून लाइट में उसी प्लेस पर उसी पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन पर वैसा ही जैसा पहले आपने फोटो लिया है, आप यदि मूनलाइट में लेना चाहते हैं तो मूनलाइट में जब आप इमेज लेते हैं तो उस इमेज को जब आप कैमरा में देखेंगे या मोबाइल फोन में देखेंगे तो कैसी दिखाई देती है? बताएं।
ग्रे टाइप।
ग्रे टाइप की दिखाई देती है ना, तो मतलब कलर्ड तो नहीं दिखाई देती ना, जैसी दिन में दिखाई देती है।
नो।
ठीक है, सो दिस इज व्हाट इसको टॉपिक। ओके, सो आई थिंक ये क्लियर हो गया होगा। दूसरा है आपका फो टॉपिक। ओके, सो इसके लिए आप समझ सकते हैं, humans can resolve the details because each cone is connected to its own nerve end. Okay, human can resolve fine details because each cone is connected to its own nerve end. यहाँ पर एक नर्व नहीं है, बहुत सारी नर्व है। ओके, और ये आपकी कौन से कनेक्टेड रहती है? तो ह्यूमन जो है वो फाइन डिटेल्स मीन्स बहुत ही बारीक जो है उसको भी रिजॉल्व कर लेता है ना। ये इसको स्किप करें या समझ में आ जाएगा? ये आप पढ़ लेंगे इसको?
पढ़ लेंगे सर।
है ना, ये उसमें बुक में दिया हुआ सारी टर्मिनोलॉजी है बहुत सारी, क्योंकि इट इज 20 मिनट से मुझे बहुत सारा कवर करना था इसमें, है ना। इट इज दीज आर द सिंपल टर्मिनोलॉजी है ना फॉर टॉपिक्स आल्सो। You can also say this photopics, it is also known as bright light vision. ठीक है, bright light vision. Yes, bright light vision. Early this scotopic, it is known as the dim light vision. Okay, and this is photopic is the bright light vision. Okay, so you can understand this again.
ओके सर।
है ना। ये तो किसी बच्चे ने पूछा था सर BA और BB क्या है? एक्चुअली क्या है कि दीज आर द टर्मिनोलॉजी व्हिच आर रिलेटेड इन द इमेज प्रोसेसिंग, बट यदि इसमें आप ज़्यादा टाइम देंगे अभी तो मैं जस्ट इसका ओवरव्यू दे रहा हूँ, आप इसको बुक से भी इसको कवर कर सकते हैं। मुझको जो जहाँ जाना है वो अपना मेन पार्ट है कि आपकी इमेज को आप कैसे कैप्चर करेंगे कैमरा से, उसको एनालॉग से डिजिटल में कैसे कन्वर्ट करेंगे, फिर उसको मैट्रिक्स के फॉर्म में रिप्रेजेंट किस तरीके से करेंगे, फिर उसमें डिफरेंट इंटेंसिटी फॉर्मेशन के लिए मैथमेटिकल मॉडलिंग अपन को करनी है। सो रिमेंबर दिस इसको टॉपिक, इट इज dim light vision and photopic is a bright light vision. So remember these two points. जिसको क्लियर नहीं है वो उसको लिए एक बार और बोल रहा हूँ। इसको टॉपिक इज द डिम लाइट विजन, आपको मैंने ये क्लियर कर दिया है, एंड दिस फोटोपिक इज द ब्राइट लाइट विजन। ओके, लास्ट क्लास में मैंने आपको बताया था देयर इज वन टर्मिनोलॉजी दैट इज आल्सो known as the blind spot. Okay, so how will you define the blind spot? The absence of receptors in a particular area causes the blind spot, causes a blind spot. Okay. यदि कहीं भी किसी पर्टिकुलर एरिया में यदि आपसे रिसेप्टर्स प्रेजेंट नहीं है तो उस पर्टिकुलर एरिया को आप क्या बोलेंगे? ब्लाइंड स्पॉट। Now, next, the key point in interesting, the key point in interpreting the impressive dynamic range here, and it is mentioned in this figure. It is very large range, है ना। So it is the visual system which cannot operate over such a range simultaneously. यदि आपकी इतनी बड़ी रेंज है तो इस पूरी कंप्लीट रेंज में आपका कोई भी सिस्टम साइमल्टेनियसली इसको ऑपरेट नहीं कर सकता। Rather it accomplishes this large variation by changing its overall sensitivity, and this phenomena is known as the brightness adaptation. Okay, so what is the brightness adaptation? It is the phenomena which accomplishes this large variation by changing its overall sensitivity. Okay. Now the total range of distinct intensity levels the eye can discriminate simultaneously rather than small when we compare it with the total adaptation range. Now again there is one more terminology, that is the brightness adaptation level. So for a given set of conditions, the current sensitive level of the visual system is called the brightness adaptation level, which may correspond to, for example, there is one thing that is which is corresponds to the brightness BA. So this BA and BB brightness, these are the brightness BA and brightness BB. So the short intersecting curve represents the range of subjective brightness. Here, this is the intersecting. This is the intersecting. So you can see here, this is the intersecting. So this short intersecting curve represents the range of subjective brightness that the eye can perceive when adapted to this level. This range is rather restricted, having a label BB. Okay, this is the label BB. So there is a range. You have started from this brightness from A to brightness B. Okay. So this range is rather restricted, having a label BB here, this BB at, and below which all stimuli are perceived as indistinguishable blacks. तो इस लेवल के नीचे भी आप जाओगे तो आपको सारी चीजें ब्लैक दिखाई देंगी. So they have given a brightness range BA to BB. In that you can discriminate the things. You can detect or distinguish the things. So the upper portion of the curve is not actually restricted, but if extended too far, बहुत ज़्यादा यदि आप बढ़ाते हैं तो it loses its meaning, because much higher intensities would simply raise the adaptation level higher than the BA. So here you can see this BA and this BB represents the level of brightness simply. So in this range BA to BB, you can discriminate the things, but if you are moving downwards or below this level BB, then all things will be light black. Okay, is that clear? किसी ने पूछा था what is BA and BB? Hello. Abhishek Anand, Abhishek Kumar.
Yes, sir.
Clear है?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the brightness adaptation and the discrimination. You can read it from a book. Now I am moving. Now this is the basic experimental setup used to characterize the brightness discrimination. यहाँ पर आपकी brightness पहले आपका I है और वो delta I से भी आपकी change होती है, so you can see this. Now this is the typical Weber ratio as a function of the intensity. This is the log of del IC by I with respect to the log of intensity. So now here this diagram shows the illustration of the match band effect. Perceived intensity is not a simple function of actual intensity. So this perceived intensity level, this is the actual intensity level, You can see. Now here this figure gives the examples of the simultaneous contrast. All the energy squares have the same intensity here, but they appear progressively darker as the background becomes lighter. Okay, this is the effect of the background light. Now here you can see some well-known optical illusions. Here you can see this is the square, and here you can see these are some lines which forms a circle. And here these are the two lines, and in these two lines, these both are horizontal, but the upper one is the shorter. And you can see here different lines, and these lines are parallel in this condition. So these are some well-known optical illusions. Now light and the electromagnetic spectrum, this part I have covered earlier. So the electromagnetic spectrum was introduced and in the year of 1666. In the year of 1666, Sir Isaac Newton discovered this spectrum. Okay, so how he discovered this one? So in the year of 1666, Sir Isaac Newton discovered that when a beam of light or beam of sunlight passes through a glass prism, the emerging beam of light is not white, but it consists instead of a continuous spectrum of colors ranging from violet at one end to red at the other end. Okay, is that clear? प्रिज्म में उन्होंने एक लाइट को फॉल किया सनलाइट को, तो उन्होंने देखा कि जो लाइट है वो ब्रेक हुई है डिफरेंट कलर्स में. स्टार्ट हुआ है वायलेट से एक एंड पर और दूसरे एंड पर एंड हुआ है रेड पर. ओके, सो दिस इज द गिवन बाय सर आइजैक न्यूटन. So this is the spectrum which you can see. The electromagnetic spectrum I have covered in the first class, but here again I want to show because here it will be required. So this is the energy of one photon. So here we will take this in terms of photons and the unit of it electron volts only. So you can see the range here, it is 1 to 10 to the power plus 6 and 1 to 10 to the power minus 9. And you can see the electromagnetic spectrum in terms of frequency. So the unit is hertz here. So it is in this range 10 to the power 21. Here it is 10 to the power plus 5. Now this is the spectrum which shows in terms of wavelength. So 10 to the power 3 to 10 to the power minus 12. So because the frequency and wavelength both are inversely proportional. So here higher the frequency, lower the wavelength. Here, okay, and so on. So you can see the spectrum, electromagnetic spectrum is divided in radio waves, started from this end and end at gamma rays. Okay, so radio waves, microwaves, infrared, this is the visible spectrum which human being can detect. It started from violet color at one end and ends at red color at the another end. So the range, it ranges from 0.4 into 10 to the power minus 6 to 0.7 into 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Now, as we know, this gamma rays has more energy because there is a formula, I think you know, E is equal to h nu, where h is the Planck's constant and this nu is the frequency. So high the frequency, जितनी ज़्यादा frequency होगी उतनी ही ज़्यादा energy होगी. That's why these gamma rays are very dangerous to the human beings. Okay, or we can say that X-ray hazards here, these X-ray. So this is the spectrum. I will now see. The electromagnetic spectrum can be expressed in terms of wavelength, in terms of frequency, or in terms of energy, which I have shown here. Remember, I am repeating, the electromagnetic spectrum, it can be expressed in terms of energy, in terms of frequency, in terms of wavelength. So remember the corresponding units. For energy, electron volt. For frequency, it is hertz. For wavelength, it is meter. These are the standard units. And these three things can be related by a relation that lambda it is equals to C by V. Okay, lambda it is equals to C by V. I have not written here. Lambda it is equals to ratio of velocity of light, okay, to the frequency. So this lambda it is equals to C in the numerator and V in the denominator. So C is the speed of light, everybody know, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And this V, which I am telling here, it is the frequency. So there is another formula. There is another formula that is E it equals to H nu. E it is equals to H nu. So the energy of the various component of the electromagnetic spectrum is given by this relation E is equal to H nu. Okay. So this H is a Planck's constant, and you know it is a constant quantity. So this energy it is directly proportional to this V or this parameter. Okay, or this parameter. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So see here, it is H is a Planck's constant, and this parameter it is nothing but one you know. So the unit here, unit of the wavelength I have declared here, and range is 10 to the minus 6 meter. In nanometers, it is actually there are some things which because your branch is CS and IT, so I want to say that micrometer it represents 10 to the power minus 6 meter. 1 micrometer it is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 meter, and 1 nanometer it is equal to the 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Okay. Now here we know that each mass less particle contains a certain amount of bundle of energy. Everybody know it, and this bundle of energy is known as the photons. So कभी स्टूडेंट्स के माइंड में आए फोटोन सर बोल रहे हैं एनर्जी ऑफ वन फोटोन, तो रिमेंबर दिस इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Again, each massless particle contains a certain amount of energy or bundle of energy, and it is known as photon. Okay, it is known as photon. Now see, without a spectrum, as B increases according to this relation E equals to H nu, this as B increases the frequency, or as B moves from ultraviolet to X-ray and towards gamma rays, then C, B get more energy, more and more energy. So because of this more radiations, और बिकॉज ऑफ दिस मोर एनर्जी इट इज अगेन डेंजरस. आपने देखा होगा डॉक्टर्स हमेशा एडवाइस देते हैं कि जो एक्सरे आपको लेना है वो लाइफ में एन नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स आप ले सकते हैं, या गामा रेस को यदि आपको यूज करना तो इतने टाइम तक आप उसको यूज कर सकते हैं. कोई एक स्टूडेंट एग्जांपल दे सकता है कि इसमें से कौन से स्पेक्ट्रम को आप यूज करते हैं जहाँ पर आप ब्लास्टिंग करते हैं या बड़े बड़े रॉक्स या चट्टान को आप तोड़ते हैं, तो वहाँ पर किस फ्रिक्वेंसी का यूज करते हैं आप? एनी स्टूडेंट फ्रॉम द क्लास प्लीज. Hello. Student, please. Aditi Kumari. Yes, Aditi Kumari. Apurva Singhal.
radiation is used.
Yes. Ayush Tiwari. किस बैंड को यूज करते हैं भाई? ओके, अभी ये क्लियर होगा आगे. We know that according to this formula, energy, it is proportional to the frequency. So we can say the higher frequency, or we can say in another words, lower wavelength, because frequency and wavelength both are inversely proportional. So energy, it is proportional to the frequency. So the higher frequency electromagnetic phenomena carry more and more energy per photon. That is why radio waves have photons with low energies, whereas microwave have more energy than the radio waves. Is that clear? And as B moves from right to left, infrared still have more energy than the visible or ultraviolet, etc. So finally, we can say gamma rays has the most energetic, or we can say gamma rays have more energy, or we can say most energetic of all. Okay, more energetic of all. This is the radio wave. These are the microwave, infrared, visual spectrum, ultraviolet, soft X-ray, hard X-ray, and gamma rays. So remember, gamma rays are most energetic. Remember, gamma rays are most energetic. सबसे ज़्यादा energy gamma rays में होती है. And because of this reason, gamma rays bands, or we can say any frequency which comes in this band, is particularly harmful to the living organisms. Okay, it is very dangerous to the living organisms. Yes, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
है ना? So from this spectrum, ये आपको मालूम होना चाहिए. आप इंफ्रा रेडियो वेव से स्टार्ट करते हैं, फ्रॉम राइट टू लेफ्ट गामा की ओर जाते हैं. रेडियो वेव्स में एनर्जी कम होती है, और आप इसमें मूव करेंगे टुवर्ड्स लेफ्ट गामा रेस. तो गामा रेस में जो है एनर्जी बहुत ज्यादा होती है. जितनी ज्यादा एनर्जी निकलेगा, जितना ज्यादा रेडिएशंस होंगे, उतना ही ज्यादा वो हार्मफुल होता है. आपने देखा होगा कभी अल्ट्रावायलेट की किरणों की जब आप बात करते हैं, सन से जो आती है, उससे आपकी स्किन क्या हो जाती है? डार्क हो जाती है, या कह सकते हैं वो हार्मफुल रहती है. हेलो, एक्सरे में जब आप अपने आपकी बॉडी को एक्सपोज करते हो, तब भी आपकी बॉडी में कुछ इफेक्ट्स आ जाते हैं, ऐसा बोलते हैं. उसी तरीके से गामा, बिकॉज इट कंटेन्स मोर एंड मोर एनर्जी. ओके, नाउ नेक्स्ट some terminologies. There is one terminology, that is the monochromatic light. क्योंकि स्टूडेंट पूछ सकते हैं, मुझसे कुछ स्टूडेंट ने पूछा था, इसलिए I am covering this one. Monochromatic light. So light that is void of color is known as monochromatic light. ये सिंपल आप बोलते ना यार, ये मोनोक्रोमेटिक है, या मोनोक्रोम कलर है, या मल्टी कलर है, वहां से आप देख सकते हैं. So the only attribute for this monochromatic light is its intensity. Okay, because the intensity of the monochromatic light, it is perceived to vary from black to grays and finally to the white. So the term there, I am also adding one more, that is the gray level. Okay, so the gray level is used commonly to denote the monochromatic intensity. Okay. We use this term intensity and gray level interchangeably. मैंने आपको पहले भी क्लास में बताया था gray levels. So the range of values of monochromatic light from black to white is usually known as grayscale. Again, I am repeating, the range of values of monochromatic light from black to white, it is usually known as grayscale. And monochromatic images are frequently referred to as a grayscale images. Okay. Now, in addition to the frequency, there are three other quantities which are used to describe a chromatic light source. First is the radiance, second is the luminance, and third is the brightness. So, first is the radiance. It is the total amount of energy that flows from the light source. Okay, and it is usually measured in watts. This is the radiance. Now, second thing, again I am repeating what is radiance. So it is the total amount of energy that flows from the sunlight, or we can say light source. कोई भी आपका light source हो सकता है, वो bulb हो सकता है, वो sun हो सकता है, जो भी है. So जो sun total energy radiate करेगा, that is the term radiance, और इसको हम measure करेंगे watt में. Second term is the luminance. It is measured in lumens, or in short we can say small m. This gives a measure of the amount of energy an observer perceive from a light source. मैं एक इंसान हूँ, मेरे सामने एक बल्ब है, उस बल्ब से मैं जो लाइट कैप्चर करूंगा, रिसीव करूंगा, ओके, उसी को आप बोलेंगे ल्यूमिनेंस. ओके, सो ल्यूमिनेंस मीन्स व्हाट? Luminance means what? It gives a measure of the amount of energy an observer perceive from a light source. एक ऑब्जर्वर एक लाइट सोर्स से कितनी एनर्जी को एब्जॉर्ब करता है, कितनी एनर्जी को मेजर करता है, वो ये चीज ल्यूमिनेंस आपको इंडिकेट करती है. For example, light emitted from a source operating in the far infrared regions of the spectrum could have significant energy radiance, but an observer would hardly perceive it. Its luminance would be almost zero. जरूर नहीं है कि एक बल्ब है जो कि 100 वाट की जो रेडिएशंस है और या स्पेक्ट्रम्स है वो रेडिएट कर रहा है, तो जो ऑब्जर्वर है वो जरूर नहीं है कि पूरी की पूरी वो उसको रिसीव कर पाए, या उसमें से कुछ पार्ट रिसीव कर पाए, या उसमें से पूरा पार्ट रिसीव कर पाए. सो दिस रिसीविंग और दिस परसीविंग ऑफ द रेडियंस or the radiations it is known as the luminance. Okay, now another third parameter, that is the brightness. So brightness, it is a subjective descriptor of the light perception that is practically impossible to measure. आप बोलते हैं ना यार कितनी ब्राइटनेस है, थोड़ी सी कम कर दो, थोड़ी सी ज्यादा कर दो. Okay, so it embodies the achromatic notation of the intensity and it is one of the key factors in describing the color sensation. आपने देखा होगा आपके लैपटॉप में एक की होता है जहाँ से आप you can increase or decrease the level of brightness. Okay, you can increase or decrease the level of brightness. So actually brightness क्या है? It is the descriptor of the light perception. That is practically impossible to measure. आप उसे कैसे measure करेंगे? So these are some terminologies which are related to this spectrum. Is that clear? किसी को कोई doubt है क्या?
No, sir.
Actually, there are many terminologies. Now, you know graphical representation of one wave. या आपने एडीसी में पढ़ा होगा फ्रीक्वेंसी क्या होता है, वेवलेंथ क्या होता है, वेव क्या होता है ना. That's why I am skipping it. Now next is the image sensing and acquisition. इमेज को आप कैसे सेंस करेंगे और उसको कैसे कैप्चर करेंगे. These are some methods that after that I will take द कंप्लीट इमेज सिंपल इमेज फॉर्मेशन मॉडल, आपकी इमेज किस तरीके से फॉर्म होती है, ये हमारा यहाँ से मेन स्टार्ट होगा। अभी किसकी क्लास है? हेलो।
Compiler.
So it is a simple image formation model and यहाँ से आपका इमेज का सही स्टार्ट होगा, उसके बाद में आप किस तरीके से उसको मैट्रिक्स के फॉर्म में रिप्रेजेंट करेंगे। अभी आपको नेक्स्ट क्लास जो होगी उसमें ये बताना है देयर आर सम डिवाइसेस, है ना, इस तरीके से वो इमेज देते हैं, है ना, देयर आर सब सेंसर्स। ओके, एंड करते हैं क्लास में। किसी स्टूडेंट को कोई डाउट है तो पूछ सकते हैं। Yes, any student have any doubt? You may ask. अच्छा, आपने ये जो मैटलैब सॉफ्टवेयर है वो डाउनलोड या अरेंज या इंस्टॉल कर लिया है क्या? Okay,
Yes, sir.
yes. Okay, I think students are not connected only but not listening me. So students may leave the class, है ना?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.